Today, let's learn how to make ghee at home with this easy recipe. In this video, I'm not going to tell you just the bare basics, covering it all briefly in just 3 to 4 minutes. But if you want to learn everything about how to make the best pure ghee, this video is for you. Hey there, this is Veena from Nankhatai. A warm welcome to my channel. And if you're looking for authentic ingredient proportions and all the essential instructions for getting a recipe right, you've come to the right place. Before we dive into the actual process, we have to go over a few fundamentals. How is ghee made? Well, ghee can be made directly from milk cream by melting and cooking it without converting it into butter first. Or you could make it by first churning butter from the cream and then heating the butter to make ghee. Now, just as we have salted and unsalted butter, butter can also be categorized into sweet cream butter and cultured butter. But then how are these made? Well, when you churn fresh milk cream or malai, the butter you get is sweet cream butter. But when you ferment the milk cream first by letting certain cultures or groups of bacteria like those found in curd and cultured buttermilk act on it and then churn out the butter, what we get from this fermented cream is cultured butter, which by the way is tastier and costlier than sweet cream butter, the butter that is generally available in stores in India. Now you could make ghee from either of these two kinds of butter, that is, from sweet cream butter, which could be homemade or store-bought like the butter from Amul or Mother Dairy or any other brand, or from cultured butter. And it is from this cultured butter that you could make the best ghee. Incidentally, making ghee from cultured butter is the traditional way we've been making it in India for centuries. And that's the process I'm going to show you today. So now, let's see how to go from milk cream to butter to ghee in 3 easy steps. The first step is to ferment the milk cream. You could use either ready-made milk cream, that could be fresh cream, whipping cream, heavy cream, it could be any cream, or you could do it the Indian way by boiling full cream milk at home, chilling the milk in the refrigerator for 7 to 8 hours or overnight, skimming the cream off the top of the milk, and then storing it in the freezer. After repeating this process for around 8 to 10 days, you'll have enough milk cream like this to start making ghee at home. This is the milk cream I had accumulated in my freezer for 8 days. We have to first bring the milk cream to room temperature. I've already done that. And then mix in 1 tablespoon of curd into it. You could also use 2 tablespoons of cultured buttermilk instead. Stir it well, cover it, and let it ferment on the kitchen counter for around 7 to 10 hours or overnight. In the winter, it could take longer than 10 hours and would have to be kept in a warm place. After around 10 hours, here's my fermented cream. It's important for the cream to be fully fermented. To check that it has fermented, just taste it. It should have a distinct sour taste, but not be very sour. Meaning, when we ferment cream, we convert it from sweet cream into sour cream. The next step is to churn the butter from this fermented cream. In the summertime, it would be better to first chill the fermented cream in the fridge for around half an hour, because butter is more easily separated from milk cream at a lower temperature. Now you could churn the cream with a butter churner or whisk, or by using a mixer grinder. Though using a mixer grinder could often be quicker, I find it easier to wash and clean a whisk once I'm done rather than the mixer jar, and so I prefer using a whisk. First, whisk the fermented cream by itself for 1 or 2 minutes. You'll notice it immediately becomes lumpy. Then add in half a cup of ice cold water and whisk it for 2 more minutes. In the summertime, you could also throw in a few ice cubes. But remember, you shouldn't add too much of chilled water at a time, or it could take longer for the butter to separate. Once you see the butter is beginning to separate, add another half cup of chilled water to the bowl and churn the mixture till all the cream breaks into butter and buttermilk, which is the milky liquid in the bowl. Churning butter from cream like this is a weekly practice in many Indian homes. We could scoop out the butter or remove it using a slotted spoon. Like I mentioned, what remains behind is buttermilk. You could use this buttermilk for different food preparations or for making delicious curry, or just add a dash of salt to it and enjoy it as salted buttermilk. Absolutely refreshing. After rinsing this cultured butter with water, you could add a little salt to it and also some yellow color if you want, and keep it in the fridge to use it as table butter. But since we are making ghee, I'll transfer it to a thick-bottomed or thick-walled cooking vessel. Let's rinse the butter with some cold water 2 or 3 times to wash out some more of the buttermilk from it. We can now make ghee from this butter, meaning we'll now move on to the third and final step. If you're using commercially available butter to make ghee, the process from now onwards will be the same as when you use homemade butter. In our case, cultured butter, like this. Now let the butter melt on medium heat. From this stage onwards, it will take you barely 20 minutes to make pure ghee. In the beginning, when it foams a lot, reduce the heat and stir the melted butter occasionally. The foam is created by the milk solids in the butter. Now any butter is made up of mostly fat, but it will also have a little water and a small amount of milk solids. If it's salted butter, like the commercially available butter in India, it will also have around 1% of salt. What we are doing here is removing the water and the milk solids from the butter to get pure ghee, or the Indian version of clarified butter, which is 100% fat. A quick reminder to please like this video if you find it useful, and do subscribe for more tasty recipes. After 10 minutes or so, the foam will start breaking up and you'll see some of the milk solids beginning to settle at the bottom. At this stage, add in a few curry leaves, or else you could add drumstick leaves, betel leaves, or a stick of cinnamon to add to the flavor of the ghee. Keep stirring at this stage to prevent the milk solids from sticking to the bottom and burning. After another 7 to 8 minutes, almost all the milk solids will separate from the ghee and settle at the bottom, and you'll see the golden yellow melted ghee becoming clearer. Now add a tablespoon of water to the ghee and let it continue cooking. This will help give the ghee a nice grainy texture. By now, you'll smell the delicious aroma of ghee floating across your kitchen. Though almost all the ghee has separated now, the milk solids are still white. So we'll continue to heat the ghee some more, till the milk solids just start browning. You can see this process has just started. When the ghee forms large bubbles like this and the milk solids start turning brown, you'll know it's time to turn off the heat and let the ghee stand for a couple of minutes and cook further in the residual heat. During that time, as the heating process continues, even after turning off the stove, the milk solids will turn a darker brown. Now let's remove the crisp curry leaves from the ghee. And then cover the vessel and let the ghee cool a little for a couple of minutes so that it's easier to handle. Okay, now let's strain off the ghee into a clean and dry bottle or jar. Use a fine mesh strainer. If you want the ghee to be absolutely clear, you could strain it through a coffee filter or muslin cloth placed over the strainer. This will slow down the filtration, but you'll get a clearer ghee. In India, the milk solids are traditionally used for making different kinds of sweets. You won't be able to do this, however, if the milk solids are from salted butter, because then they'll be salty. Just look at that. Beautiful. Liquid gold. When it is still hot, I'll cover the jar and let the ghee cool slowly on its own. This slow cooling will also help make the ghee grainier on solidifying. I'll put the lid on, however, when it's lukewarm. But let me show you how clear the ghee is. Since ghee is 100% fat and contains neither water nor milk solids, it is shelf stable and will not spoil, and if stored properly, will stay good at room temperature for months. I have now put the lid on this bottle and will set it aside. Both the taste and the aroma of such ghee made from cultured butter is much better than that of commercially available ghee. Once you make pure ghee at home, you'll realize why it's worth the effort. Actually, the hands-on time involved is not much, and if you start with store-bought sweet cream butter or cultured butter, as is available in countries like the US and European countries, the whole process will require just a few minutes. Now Amul too makes cultured butter, though it's not always available, and it's called Amul White Lactic Butter. White butter like this is also sold in certain dairies. I had transferred a small quantity of the ghee we made to this bowl so that it could solidify faster. So now I can also show you the beautifully grainy texture of the ghee after it cools completely. I urge you to give this recipe a shot and make your own ghee at home. You'll be so delighted you did. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day and stay safe. Until we meet again, happy cooking!